If you guys are watching this video, I assume you guys either are or have struggled with lust. And this is a really sticky topic for many Christians and many non-believers as well. But I'm not gonna lie, I actually recorded the whole video and it was like 50 minutes. 15, not 50. And the audio didn't record, so I'm doing it again for you guys, but also mostly just for you guys, but also for God, and that He would be glorified through this video. But yeah, I wanted to start off with my story, so I have some verses here on the phone just so you know. That's why I'm getting it out. But so I grew up in a Christian home for all my life. I'm 17, so that's like 17 years of Christian influence and just like the Bible and reading His Word and stuff. And I shouldn't say I read the Word the whole time, but the first time I was introduced to something pornographic, or, sorry, there's kids around here somewhere, so I don't want to be talking about the stuff with them around. Just so you know, if you're a kid watching this video, I would click off. It's kind of a sensitive subject, mostly for people who are a little older, so just so you know. I didn't tell you at the beginning, but whatever. So I was scrolling YouTube, and I was like a 12-year-old, something like that, scrolling YouTube, just like trying to find something to watch that would be fun, or something. I don't know what you do when you're a kid. It's been so long since I've been a kid, but I know that I probably was just trying to find something to entertain me. And I was just looking on there, and this, I think it was a thumbnail, came up, and it was just a really bad picture, some like lustful picture. And being a little kid, that like awakened something in me. I don't know what it was, but just like that desire. I mean, I guess I do know what it was. It was that desire for to be satisfied, and how I hadn't found that satisfaction in God yet. And so of course I clicked on it like a little kid. I didn't know that it was wrong. I mean, I had heard it in church that you should not lust, but I didn't really know what that meant. And I think that's why it's so important to talk to your kids. Not that most of you guys are kids, or most of you guys are kids, not that most of you guys are parents, but to talk to your kids about this stuff before they encounter it, which is super young. I think people encounter lustful things like at the age of 9 on average. So got to realize a lot of our little kids are already getting shown these bad images and bad things. And we got to be aware of that. But besides the fact, I had watched this video, and it was not a good video in any remarks. And I was, like I said, something just awakened in me, and I was like enthralled, and I was like, whoa, this is so satisfying. And how wrong that is, because Jesus is the only thing that can satisfy us. And He's the only way that we can get out of this sin. But I had to realize my sin first. But before that happened, I actually like kind of forgot about it, and I didn't go back to it for a while. I had just not like thought about it, I guess, in a while. So I think I had like a break from it until I was like 14-ish, when I got a job. And you know, people in the workplace, they tend to talk about this stuff all the time, but I'm not going to blame it on them. It was all my fault. But I just, like, when I was 14 and stuff, I was looking for satisfaction, and I didn't find that in Jesus yet because I didn't look for it. And I think that was interesting how He changed me, and how He is changing me. And people come into play. So I might move. Someone just came, so I had to move. But where was I? I think I was somewhere in my story. So I was like, how old was I? Like 14, that's where I left off. But I was 14, and this is when I really started learning how to, I don't want to get too like graphic or particular, but I started learning how to interact with things and just these sinful acts that were happening on the screen. And it was just like, every time I did something wrong like that with whether that be lust or pornography, whatever it was, I just felt so wrong about it, and like my whole mindset was just flawed. And you just start to see women as objects. And if you're a man, or if you're a woman, you probably see men as objects. And just how messed up that was in my brain. But thankfully now I am free from it for a while. And it's not that I never make mistakes, but I've been free from looking at bad stuff for like, I don't know, maybe like 9 months, something like that. Not that I never see bad stuff, but like when something pops up on the screen, I don't have a desire for that anymore. Like, my desire is only for God, and that's only come through Him. But I think I was like, make sure it's recording still. Okay, it's good. I was still interacting with this bad stuff for I think about like a year or so, like 15 and a half I was. And this is when I went to a camp and learned about like more about God and about what He does. And I felt so convicted of my sin. Like my convictions were just skyrocketing. And it was at that time when I was just trying to fight it, and I learned that it was wrong, and I was trying to fight it. And I just kept losing the battle. And I know if you guys have struggled with this, you agree with me, because it is just so hard. And honestly, with anything like alcohol, whether it be drugs, thankfully I haven't been in contact with any of those bad things. But this is my struggle, so I figure some other people have the same one. So, where was I? Just like how Jesus freed me from this, and how I can now come out here and talk to you guys, because the reason why I think I struggle with this is so that I can talk with people behind the screen, with really anybody, like my friends, people that I witness to, and just how amazing that is, how my sin resulted, even though it was bad and everything else, it resulted in good, because Jesus, He turns our bad into good, and how He turned my bad into good. So yeah, I went to this camp. I just learned so much about God. I was really convicted. I came home and I just struggled for another couple months. And it wasn't until about, let's see, it's probably coming up on 8 or 9 months ago, I don't know when, but I finally mustered up the courage to tell my parents about this sin. And I thought, obviously, like when you're, oh, there's dogs. We'll see what the dog. Lord, I just pray that the dogs would be quiet and that I could tell these people about you. Anyway, I have train of thought. There's so much spiritual warfare in this video, just because obviously I'm talking about hard stuff, and the devil doesn't want that out here. But just like how I learned so much, and I finally mustered up the courage to tell my parents, and I thought they were going to be so mad at me. Like, obviously you always think that the devil always just discourages you and stuff, and doesn't want you to press on and try to strive for righteousness. But when I finally mustered up that courage to tell my parents, that was like an awakening for me. Like, I felt so free, like to do whatever I wanted for Jesus and whatever I wanted to do. And I didn't have to be in fear of like people knowing and stuff like that. And that was crazy for me, because I had never really been free since being a kid. So that was crazy for me, and how I learned how to be somewhat free. But then, of course, I got into another cycle of doing what I didn't want to do, just like what Paul says. I think it's Paul, don't quote me on that. And I eventually told some people at my church, 3 guys that I meet with still. I won't tell everyone your names, just so you know, because they're probably watching this. But shout out to you guys, and you guys have really helped me grow in my spiritual growing and spiritual growth. I guess that's a better word. But yeah, once I told them, it was like light switch again, even after my parents. And I just wanted to not do it anymore because I told them every time I did something. And that was some motivation to stop. And I think that's really what changed my want to do it. And now it's just like my body wants to do it, and I don't want to do it because I'm a follower of Jesus. I don't want that. And I think the way to find real freedom is not through not wanting to do it. It's through doing righteousness. So doing stuff for the Lord. I have some verses. My brother texted me, sorry. And I have this verse from Psalms 23, very popular. Verse 4, it says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." And I think it's funny how the dogs are barking right now because I'm speaking scripture. And the devil doesn't want this to get out to you guys, but it will. And just how that verse, we will walk through shadows and darkness, but Jesus, he'll pull you out, and you need to ask for him to pull you out. It needs to be prayer, there needs to be reading of his word, and most importantly, I would say, you need to tell people. Just tell everybody you know so you never do it again. Same with drugs, alcohol, anything else like that. And you need to want to get rid of it. And that want comes from Jesus. So I just encourage you guys, and I'm rooting for you. If you guys know me, I know a lot of people know me that watch my videos. So if you know me, please come talk to me about this. It's a really good topic for me to talk about because it's definitely changed my life being free. So I want that for you guys as well. But yeah, it's like I can't as a human not look or not want to look at bad things and not want to do bad things with my body. But the only way I persevere through that is the dog is just staring me right in the eye. The only way I persevere through that is through him, and I can't do anything to deserve it or ever make it for myself because his amount of grace is so high that I can't even we could never even picture his amount of grace because when he died on that cross, he said it's finished, and he paid everyone's sins. So your shame, imagine your shame right now. I'll give you a second. Okay. And then just imagine that times how many people are on the earth, 8 billion. And even people that die. So he paid for everybody. And that's crazy if you think about it. I can barely handle my shame when I mess up with something. But he did it all for us. And we need to be stewards of him. So we need to be sharing our testimonies, sharing with other people, and just leading others to Christ, because we don't want people to suffer in hell. That's not what Jesus wants either, and we need to have a heart for him, Jesus. So I hope this encourages you. I do have another verse. I have one more verse that I found, and it's in 2 Timothy 2:21 through 22. It says, "Therefore, if anyone cleanses himself from what is dishonorable, he will be a vessel for honorable use, set apart as holy, useful to the master of the house, ready for every good work. So flee from youthful passions and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord from a pure heart." So I'll just close this video in prayer, and then I'll let you guys go about your day. Not that you can't, because you could just click off, but whatever. Dear God, I thank you for this amazing video that you inspired me to make, and it's not me at all, it's all you, and how you've really convicted me in the last month that I need to be sharing with people and need to be sharing my faith. And I just pray that you would encourage and push on anybody that's watching this video behind the screen. I pray that you would push them for righteousness, Lord. You would challenge them, and that through your word, they could become free from this. And I just thank you for all of them. I pray that you bless them today. In your name, amen. See you later, guys.